The Celestial War. It is basically Marvel's creation myth turning into a civil war. Before there were multiple universes, there was the first firmament, one original sentient universe that was everything. No alternate realities, no branches, no Earth 616 versus Earth 1610, just one cosmic being that considered itself perfect and complete. And because it was alone, it needed servants. So it formed the aspirants, out of its own essence, loyal, obedient cosmic warriors who treated the first firmament like a god and defended its perfect order. The problem is, perfection is boring, and eventually, even cosmic beings start wanting change. A faction of these beings began to believe reality shouldn't stay frozen. They wanted evolution, transformation, life rising and dying, worlds changing shape, stories moving forward. Those rebels became the Celestials, not just stronger aspirants, but something philosophically different. To the first firmament, this was betrayal. The Celestials weren't just questioning authority, they were questioning the whole idea that the universe should stay pure and unchanged forever. So the war begins, and it's not like two alien armies clash. This is the universe fighting itself. The aspirants have the advantage at first, ancient weapons, cosmic tech. The Celestials, meanwhile, are raw power and cosmic will, and they are fighting for a future where reality can grow into something bigger than its creator. It's order versus progress, stasis versus evolution, and it's happening on a scale where battlefields are basically chunks of existence. Here's what makes this story feel so real. The biggest blow doesn't come from the Celestials, it comes from the aspirants turning on each other. Once you give an army god-killing weapons, eventually somebody asks, should we use this on everyone? Different factions of aspirants start disagreeing about how far they should go, and the whole loyal, serve the firmament thing fractures into internal conflict. That civil war weakens the firmament's defense and creates the opening the Celestials needed, because the so-called perfect order couldn't even stay united when pressure hit. With the aspirants divided, the Celestials strike the biggest possible target, the first firmament itself, and they don't just wound it, they shatter it. The first firmament breaks into pieces, and those fragments become the foundation for something totally new. The next cosmos, the start of a reality that can branch and expand, basically the early blueprint of the multiverse structure Marvel uses. So the wild part is, the multiverse isn't born from peace or design, it's born from a cosmic rebellion and an act of destruction so massive it rewrites what existence even is. Even after the Celestials win, the story doesn't end clean. The first firmament doesn't just vanish like a dead villain, it becomes a cosmic ghost story, and the Celestials, now basically the architects of the new reality, start doing what they're famous for: messing with worlds, searing life, judging civilizations, running experiments on existence like it's lab. The point is, the Celestial War isn't just ancient lore, it's the reason Marvel's universe is the way it is. The Kree-Skrull War. Before the Marvel Universe exploded into multiversal madness and cosmic gods, there was the Kree-Skrull War, one of the earliest and most influential epic sagas in Marvel history. Running through Avengers issue 89 to 97, this 1971 storyline elevated superhero comics into full-blown space opera. And what started as a simple mission for the Avengers quickly spiraled into an all-out intergalactic war, with Earth caught in the crossfire between two ancient powerful alien empires, the militaristic Kree and the shape-shifting Skrulls. The conflict begins when Marvel, aka Captain Marvel, a Kree warrior living on Earth, is hunted by his own people for betraying their cause. Simultaneously, the Skrulls ramp up their own invasion efforts, manipulating Earth politics and even infiltrating the Avengers. And as tensions rise between the two alien races, it becomes clear that Earth isn't just collateral damage, it's the prize. Both empires see Earth as a potential strategic asset or threat, and their war spills into Earth's orbit, drawing the Avengers deep into a battle they never asked for. And this saga is famous for combining superhero action with Cold War-style political intrigue. The Avengers not only battle alien invaders but also face suspicion from the US government, with fears of alien sympathizers mirroring real-world paranoia. Vision, Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, Thor, and others are pushed to their limits as loyalties are tested and personal stakes skyrocket. And the storyline also marks the emergence of Vision and Scarlet Witch's romance, which would later become one of Marvel's most iconic and tragic relationships. And as the war escalates, cosmic forces like the Supreme Intelligence of the Kree and the Skrull Emperor enter the fray, while Earth's heroes must ally with or defy them to prevent total destruction. In a climatic stand, Rick Jones, yes, the human sidekick, is given cosmic awareness by the Supreme Intelligence and taps into Marvel's Golden Age heroes to save the day. With Earth no longer seen as a helpless bystander, the war comes to a tense standstill, but the scars left behind are lasting. The Kree-Skrull War was a game changer. It was Marvel's first true epic. It expanded Marvel's universe beyond Earth, introduced layered political storytelling, and made cosmic conflict personal. And in many ways, it paved the way for everything that came after: Secret Wars, Infinity Gauntlet, Annihilation, and beyond. Secret Wars. When we talk about Secret Wars, it is a symbol of multiversal chaos. And while there are two major Secret Wars events, one from 1984 and the other from 2015, both serve as turning points in Marvel history. The first was a classic heroes versus villains clash, while the second was an apocalyptic restructuring of the entire multiverse. The original Secret Wars begins when a mysterious cosmic entity called the Beyonder becomes fascinated by Earth's superheroes, and to observe the nature of good and evil, he teleports a bunch of Marvel's most iconic heroes and villains to a patchwork planet called Battleworld. There, they are forced to fight for survival, power, and philosophy. You've got the Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four clashing with villains like Doctor Doom, Ultron, and Galactus, and many more. And it's also the event that gave Spider-Man his iconic black suit, which, surprise, turns out to be the Venom symbiote. While the first Secret Wars was all about epic battles and big team-ups, Secret Wars 2015 was a whole different beast. In this modern retelling, the multiverse is collapsing. Earth after Earth is being destroyed in a series of incursions where parallel worlds crash into each other. The Illuminati, a secret group of powerful heroes like Reed Richards, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange, try to stop it but fail. And in the chaos, Doctor Doom seizes the power of the Beyonders, reshaping the remnants of the multiverse into a twisted new battle world, where he reigns as God Emperor Doom. And this new battle world is stitched together from fragments of destroyed universes, zombielands, mutant kingdoms, dystopias, and more. Heroes and villains alike are reshaped, memory wiped, or twisted to fit Doom's rule. But a small group of survivors from the original universe, including Reed Richards, Black Panther, and Miles Morales, fight to expose the truth. In the end, Reed outsmarts Doom, takes his power, and rebuilds the multiverse, restoring everything that was lost. So it's not just a reboot, it's Marvel's rewriting its entire reality, with purpose and closure. Both Secret Wars stories are cosmic in scale but very different in tone. The first is a high-stakes brawl with a storyline behind it, fun, chaotic, and classic, and the second is an existential drama that closes out years of Marvel continuity and launches something new. The Infinity War. When you hear Infinity War, your mind might jump to Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, but we're talking about the comic event of 1992. It is a direct sequel to the Infinity Gauntlet, but instead of focusing on Thanos as the main threat, the spotlight shifts to the Magus. This time the war isn't about erasing half the universe, it's about total domination through deception, doppelgangers, and cosmic mind games. And once again, every hero in the Marvel universe is forced to join the fray. The story kicks off when Adam Warlock, having claimed the Infinity Gauntlet and ascended to near omnipotence, tries to purge all good and evil from his soul to become a being of pure logic. The good side becomes the goddess, explored in Infinity Crusade later, while the evil half becomes the Magus, a powerful and sadistic villain with a god complex. And the Magus's goal? Conquer the universe using an army of evil doppelgangers of every major Marvel hero, created using cosmic tech and dark energy. Suddenly, Spider-Man is fighting an evil Spider-Man, and Wolverine is slashing at his clone, etc. Meanwhile, Thanos, now an unlikely anti-hero, discovers that something's wrong in the cosmos and investigates the rise of the Magus. And despite his past sins, Thanos ends up helping the heroes, not out of kindness, but because Magus, gaining ultimate power, would threaten existence itself. And the situation becomes even more chaotic when the Magus seeks out cosmic containment units, alternative versions of the Infinity Gauntlet's power source, to increase his dominance. And the final confrontation involves cosmic chess moves between Thanos, Warlock, and Magus, with abstract entities like Eternity and the Living Tribunal looking on. In the end, it's not brute force that ends the conflict. Warlock, with help from Thanos, tricks the Magus into trying to ascend to power using an incomplete artifact, leaving him vulnerable and defeated. Once again, balance is restored, but the trust between the heroes, especially toward Warlock, is shaken. Infinity War isn't as flashy as Infinity Gauntlet, but it's a darker, more cerebral story. It's about duality, good versus evil, not just in the universe, but within each soul. And while it didn't involve a finger snap or a cosmic genocide, it's still one of the most legendary wars in comics. Secret War. This one is kind of small in scale, but it's just as important as other wars. Nick Fury finds out that Lucia von Bardas, the Prime Minister of Latveria, is secretly funding and upgrading supervillains with stolen Doctor Doom technology. Fury takes this straight to the president, expecting a green light to shut it down immediately. Instead, he gets stonewalled. No authorization, no intervention, and no permission to act. And that's the moment Fury realizes the system he protects is too slow, too political, and too scared to stop what's coming. Rather than accept that answer, Fury quietly assembles his own strike team. Captain America, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Daredevil, and a few others. No Avengers label, no official mission, just a dirty Black Ops job in Latveria to burn Von Bardas's operation to the ground before anyone knows it ever existed. The heroes think they are stopping a disaster, and they do. The villain network collapses, the tech is destroyed, and the future attack never happens, or so they believe. Here's the twist that turns Secret War from a spy thriller into a moral horror story. After the mission is done, Fury erases the heroes' memories of the entire operation. No consent and no warning. The heroes go back to their lives with a blank year in their heads, never knowing they crossed international borders, assaulted a sovereign nation, and destabilized a government. Fury keeps the truth to himself, building his career on a war nobody remembers fighting. A year later, Von Bardas makes sure the world remembers. Using Doom's leftover tech, she launches a devastating attack on New York City. Buildings collapse, supervillains rampage through the streets, and innocent people are caught in the crossfire. And the message is clear. Fury thought he erased the problem, but all he did was delay it. As the heroes piece together what really happened, the truth hits harder than any superweapon. Fury manipulated them. Their anger isn't about Latveria anymore. It's about the betrayal. These are people who trust each other with their lives, and Fury violated their minds to protect his secrets. Every friendship, every alliance suddenly feels fragile, because if Fury could do this once, what else has he hidden? And by the end of Secret War, Fury is forced to leave S.H.I.E.L.D., Maria Hill steps in, and the entire power structure of Marvel's hero community shifts. Annihilation. This crossover event takes place outside Earth's usual conflicts and follows the Annihilation Wave, an all-consuming force led by Annihilus, the ruler of the Negative Zone. Written by Keith Giffen, with art by Andrea DeVito and others, this event is a brutal, large-scale war epic that pits Marvel cosmic heroes against a seemingly unstoppable enemy, elevating characters like Nova, Silver Surfer, Drax, and Thanos to new levels of importance. So the Annihilation Wave, commanded by Annihilus, bursts out of the Negative Zone and begins annihilating entire galaxies, leaving billions dead. The wave cheers through the Nova Corps, obliterating Xandar and leaving only Nova as the last survivor. As Annihilus pushes forward, the cosmic balance of power is shattered, forcing various factions, including the Kree, Skrulls, and remnants of the Nova Corps, to either unite or be wiped out. The conflict escalates as Galactus, Thanos, and the Silver Surfer become entangled in the war, leading to one of the most intense battles in Marvel history. So, after the Annihilation Wave destroys Xandar, Nova absorbs the entire Nova Force, becoming Nova Prime, one of the most powerful beings in the universe. Then a group of survivors band together, including Nova, Drax seeking vengeance against Thanos, Silver Surfer reclaiming his power to combat Annihilus, Ronan the Accuser fighting for Kree survival, and Super Skrull. This coalition led by Nova becomes the universe's last hope against Annihilus. And Thanos initially aligns with Annihilus, seeing him as a necessary force of destruction. Annihilus captures Galactus and the Silver Surfer, intending to weaponize Galactus as a cosmic bomb, capable of destroying all life in the universe. Then Thanos betrays Annihilus after realizing his insanity, but is killed by Drax the Destroyer, fulfilling Drax's long-standing mission. With the war nearing end, Nova and Annihilus engage in a brutal one-on-one fight, and despite Annihilus being physically superior, Nova uses his tactical mind and draw power to kill him, and the remaining Annihilation Wave forces are eradicated, but at an immense cost. The war is relentlessly violent, with no safe havens. Even powerful figures like Galactus and Thanos are outmatched. Annihilation reshaped Marvel's cosmic universe. It redefined Nova, Silver Surfer, and Drax, elevating them from background characters to A-list cosmic warriors. Civil War. When superheroes go to war, it's not just the villains who suffer. Sometimes, it's the very idea of heroism that breaks apart. Marvel's Civil War and its sequel, Civil War II, they are stories that rip into the heart of what it means to be a hero in a world that demands accountability. Both events pit iconic characters against each other over ideals, and what starts as a philosophical disagreement quickly erupts into a devastating, world-shaking conflict. The original Civil War in 2006 starts after a young superhero team's reckless battle with the villain Nitro kills over 600 civilians, including children. In response, the government enacts the Superhuman Registration Act, demanding that all heroes reveal their identities and register under federal control. Iron Man supports the act, seeing it as a necessary regulation, while Captain America sees it as a betrayal of freedom and civil rights. The result? A brutal superhero civil war with casualties, betrayals, and shattered friendships. Spider-Man unmasks publicly, the Fantastic Four split, and Cap surrenders, not because he's beaten, but because he realizes the fight has cost them the public's trust. Years later, Civil War II in 2016 poses a new question. Should heroes punish people for crimes they haven't committed yet? So when an inhuman named Ulysses gains the ability to see the future, Captain Marvel believes they can use his visions to stop tragedies before they happen. Iron Man, still recovering from the scars of the First War, is deeply opposed, arguing that relying on predictions risks destroying innocent lives and moral responsibility. The conflict escalates fast, especially after Ulysses' vision results in the deaths of War Machine and the near death of She-Hulk, pushing Tony and Carol into open warfare. This second war is less about law and more about control versus choice, the fear that heroes could become tools of a surveillance state. Major heroes like Miles Morales, Thor, and the X-Men are dragged into the moral gray zone, and the final confrontation ends with Tony in a coma, Carol still standing but morally shaken, and Ulysses evolving into a higher being beyond humanity. Just like the first Civil War, the sequel doesn't leave behind a winner, only more questions and a universe even more fractured than before. In the end, both Civil Wars reveal the same truth. When heroes lose sight of empathy and understanding, they become their own worst enemies. And as you can see, these weren't wars about territory or villains, they were wars about fear, control, freedom, and responsibility. And while the fights left broken bodies and broken trusts in their wake, they also forced the Marvel Universe to confront the very human flaws beneath the masks. World War Hulk. There's only so much a man or a monster can take before he explodes, and World War Hulk is the explosive follow-up to Planet Hulk, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The Hulk returns to Earth, furious and vengeful, ready to wage war against the heroes who betrayed him. It's not just a revenge story, it's a brutal examination of what happens when the angriest being in the universe stops holding back. And for the Marvel Universe, it's one of the most destructive and personal conflicts ever seen. The road to war begins when the Illuminati decide that Hulk is too dangerous to remain on Earth. Without Bruce Banner's consent, they launch him into space, intending for him to live peacefully on an inhabited planet. Instead, Hulk crash lands on Sakaar, a violent world where he's enslaved, forced to fight as a gladiator, and ultimately rises to become a king. He finds peace, love, and purpose, only for it all to be destroyed when his ship explodes, killing his wife and unborn child. Hulk blames the Illuminati for this tragedy and returns to Earth as a strategic, focused warlord. Accompanied by his loyal, war-bound allies from Sakaar, he demands justice. Landing in New York, he gives humanity an ultimatum: deliver the heroes who wronged him, or face annihilation. And what follows is a devastating war across Manhattan, with Hulk defeating Earth's mightiest heroes, one by one, including Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and even Black Bolt, the Inhuman King. Hulk here doesn't kill indiscriminately. He wants the Illuminati to feel his pain. He stages public, gladiator-style trials, mirroring what he endured on Sakaar. But just when Hulk is about to lose control completely, it's revealed that the explosion that killed his people wasn't caused by the Illuminati. It was orchestrated by one of his own warbound, who wanted Hulk's rage to burn everything. And with the truth out, Hulk lets himself be taken down, but not before nearly breaking the planet. World War Hulk is a war that shows just how much raw power the Hulk has when he's pushed to his limit, but also how deep Bruce Banner's humanity still runs. Secret Invasion. If you ever wanted to see paranoia weaponized as a Marvel event, Secret Invasion is it. The whole thing kicks off with the shocking reveal that the Skrulls, Marvel's favorite shape-shifting aliens, have been secretly replacing heroes, politicians, and powerful figures on Earth for years. We're talking deep cover. Some Skrulls even had fake memories and powers to perfectly mimic their targets. Suddenly, every hero is asking the same question: who do we actually trust? And that sense of doubt spreads through the entire Marvel universe, setting the stage for one of the most suspenseful crossovers Marvel ever pulled off. Things got rolling when a Skrull ship crashes in the Savage Land, full of what look like classic Avengers in their 70s and 80s costumes. Are they the real deal? Are they Skrulls? Nobody knows, and it leads to a brutal fight between the real heroes and their retro counterparts. Meanwhile, in New York, Skrull sleeper agents start activating, and you realize just how far the infiltration has gone, from S.H.I.E.L.D. to Hydra to Thunderbolts, and even religious groups and the media. Nick Fury plays a huge role here too. By the time of the invasion, he's gone underground, but he's been watching. Fury creates his own off-the-book strike team, the Secret Warriors, because he doesn't trust S.H.I.E.L.D. And he's right not to. Skrulls have infiltrated every level of global defense. And the brilliance of the event is how it takes years of Marvel continuity and turns them into clues. Some old character behavior from earlier comics suddenly makes sense because those characters were Skrulls the whole time. And when the Skrulls go public, it's full-on war. They unleash their army on Earth, bringing in Super Skrulls who have the combined power of multiple heroes. You get massive battles across New York City, Thunderbolts fighting side by side with heroes, and Norman Osborn of all people stepping up as a savior. The stakes feel massive, but the human element is still there. Spider-Woman's betrayal hits hard, and seeing beloved characters revealed as Skrulls makes the whole thing personal. The event ends with a massive showdown in Central Park, where pretty much every major hero and villain shows up to throw down. The final twist, it's Norman Osborn who delivers the killing blow to Queen Varanke, the Skrull leader, on live TV no less. Overnight, Osborn becomes a global hero, gets put in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D's replacement, Hammer, and ushers in the Dark Reign era where villains run the world. Secret Invasion is remembered not just for its action, but for how it made the Marvel Universe feel unsafe. Anyone could have been an imposter. Friendships were strained, teams were broken, and fans were left second-guessing years of stories. It wasn't about who could punch the hardest, it was about who you could believe in. War of Kings. This cosmic war erupts in the aftermath of Secret Invasion and Annihilation, shifting focus from Earth's squabbles to a galactic-scale conflict. And at its core, War of Kings is a story about legacy. The war begins when the Inhumans, led by Black Bolt, take control of the Kree Empire after the fall of its previous leadership. At the same time, Vulcan, the long-lost Omega-level mutant brother of Cyclops, has become the tyrannical ruler of the Shi'ar Empire. Neither side is content with peace. Vulcan seeks expansion and domination, while Black Bolt and the Inhumans aim to protect their rule and elevate the Kree through Genesis. And the tension between these two empires escalates into an all-out war, dragging in various galactic factions, including the Nova Corps and the Starjammers. Though makes War of Kings especially intense is its tone. This isn't a war of ideals, it's a war of inheritance and revenge. Black Bolt, traditionally silent and composed, is pushed to his limit, and Vulcan, obsessed with power and validation, spirals into a madness that threatens the fabric of space-time. Battles take place on planetary scales, with super weapons, space fleets, and godlike beings clashing in increasingly destructive ways. Even the Guardians of the Galaxy struggle to keep the balance, realizing that this isn't a fight anyone can truly win. In the climax, Black Bolt and Vulcan confront each other in a one-on-one battle so powerful it causes a massive energy explosion, tearing open a rift in space known as the Fault. It's a tear in reality itself. Both leaders are seemingly killed, and while the war ends, the Fault becomes a looming cosmic threat, setting the stage for the Realm of Kings and the Thanos imperative events that follow. So the galaxy may have survived, but it's been permanently scarred. War of Kings isn't as mainstream as Infinity War or Secret Wars, but for fans of the cosmic side of Marvel, it's one of the most mature and impactful sagas ever told. It made Vulcan a top-tier villain and transformed the Inhumans from side characters into major players. Cancerverse Invasion. If you thought Marvel's cosmic events couldn't get any weirder after Annihilation and the War of Kings, the Thanos imperative takes that weirdness and cranks it up to 11. The Cancerverse is a twisted parallel universe where death has been completely banished, meaning nothing ever truly dies. It's a nightmare. Heroes and villains are fused with eldritch creatures, and the entire reality is overrun by rotting and dying monstrosities, and that Cancerverse begins bleeding into the main Marvel universe, threatening to replace it entirely. The main villains here are the Revengers. They are corrupted versions of the Avengers, now serving the many angeled ones, basically Marvel's Lovecraftian elder gods. Captain Marvel, aka Marvel, who died heroically decades earlier, is alive again in this reality, but he's a zealot leading an interdimensional crusade to free the Marvel universe from death. To stop this invasion, the Guardians of the Galaxy and the rest of Marvel's cosmic heavy hitters are forced to team up with the unlikeliest of allies, Thanos. Yes, that Thanos. He's the only one who truly understands death, and they need him because the Cancerverse's entire problem is the absence of her. This uneasy alliance is one of the highlights of the event because no one trusts Thanos, and they really shouldn't, but he's their best shot at survival. The battles are brutal, whole fleets are wiped out, and the cosmic war feels endless because the Cancerverse forces just don't stay dead. Star-Lord, Nova, and the Guardians lead desperate hit-and-run missions, while Thanos is unleashed like a living nuke. One of the most metal moments in the event is Thanos finally summoning death back into the Cancerverse, causing the entire reality to start collapsing in on itself. But there's a cost. In the final issue, Star-Lord and Nova stay behind to hold Thanos back long enough for the rest of the heroes to escape. As the Cancerverse implodes, they sacrifice themselves, or so everyone thinks, trapping Thanos and themselves in the dying dimension. It's a bittersweet ending. The universe is saved, but two of Marvel's greatest cosmic heroes are gone, at least for a while. Comics love resurrections. The Cancerverse invasion stands out because it's cosmic horror done right. It's not just another alien army, it's the concept of death itself being removed from the equation, and the absolute nightmare that would follow. The event cemented Star-Lord and Nova as true cosmic legends, pushed Thanos into an ever darker place, and closed out an incredible era of Marvel's cosmic storytelling that started with Annihilation. The Necrosha War. It begins with Selene, the ancient immortal witch and former Black Queen of the Hellfire Club, deciding that ruling from the shadows isn't enough anymore. She wants to become a god. Her plan is simple: harvest enough mutant souls to ascend beyond mortality. To do that, she targets, of course, Genosha, the island where millions of mutants were slaughtered in one of Marvel's darkest genocides. Selene infects Genosha's mass grave with a techno-organic virus, turning the island into a resurrection engine. Millions of dead mutants, heroes, villains, civilians, forgotten background characters rise from the dirt. These aren't loved ones coming home. They return hollow-eyed, feral, and murderous. Genosha stops being a graveyard and becomes Necrosha, a nation of walking corpses. The undead, they flood toward Utopia, the mutant sanctuary built by Cyclops, overrunning defenses and slaughtering anything in their path. X-Men are forced to fight versions of friends they buried years ago. X-Force is pulled into Black Ops, extermination missions, hunting resurrected threats that were supposed to be gone forever. Every battlefield feels personal because the enemy wears familiar faces. Selene's ritual goes wrong when she accidentally resurrects Proteus, one of the most dangerous mutants to ever exist, a reality rapper whose very presence shreds physics. Now the war isn't just undead armies, it's reality collapsing around them. Time stutters, matter distorts, even the dead can't fully control what Proteus becomes, and suddenly the X-Men are fighting a resurrection event that can literally tear the universe apart. At the peak of the chaos, Selene completes her ritual on the ruins of Genosha, absorbing the life force of thousands and ascending into a dead goddess. From the throne of Necrosha, she commands the dead like an army of worshippers, feeding on their souls to sustain her power. But godhood doesn't make Selene untouchable. She is betrayed by her own followers and confronted by Warpath, who uses a mystical dagger she once gifted him to stab her through the heart, killing the woman who had outlived empires. Necrosha collapses, the dead finally return to the grave, and the war ends. Chaos War. This war centers on the Chaos King, an ancient force of oblivion seeking to unmake the entire multiverse. It's not just about Earth being in danger, it's about life, death, and existence collapsing across every realm, from Olympus to the afterlife. And at the center of it all, the most unlikely of heroes, Hercules. So the story kicks off when Amatsumi Kabushi, the Japanese god of evil and chaos, transforms into the Chaos King, a being so powerful he wipes out cosmic entities like the Celestials and abstracts like Eternity's servants. He wants to return the universe to a state of pure nothingness, before time, thought, or gods. And Hercules, after undergoing a power boost that makes him more than just a strong man, assembles a ragtag group of gods, immortals, and dead heroes to stop the end of everything. So think Avengers, but metaphysical. As the Chaos King's influence spreads, death itself breaks, the underworlds collapse, the dead return, and realms of gods are consumed. Even beings like Galactus and the Silver Surfer realize they are completely outmatched. In a haunting moment, death itself flees the battlefield, meaning no one can die anymore. And yet destruction is everywhere. Major figures like Ares, Zeus, and Nightmare fall to the Chaos King, and reality begins to unravel. Hercules' team, including Thor, Silver Surfer, Circe, and even the Hulk, makes a last stand against the impossible. And in a clever twist, Hercules defeats the Chaos King, not through brute strength, but by trapping him in a pocket universe of his own creation. One where the Chaos King gets exactly what he wants, absolute nothingness. So the multiverse is spared, but many gods are gone. Entire realms are destroyed, and even the resurrected heroes don't all return to life, only a select few. So Chaos War is less about politics or vengeance and more about existential horror on a universal scale. It gave Hercules some long overdue depth and redefined the scope of cosmic threat. Infinity Wars. Again, this time, it's not Thanos snapping his fingers or Adam Warlock wrestling with morality. Instead, the war is kicked off by someone far more surprising, Gamora. Tired of being manipulated and haunted by her past, she sets out on a mission to fix everything, even if it means breaking the universe itself in the process. It all begins when Thanos is assassinated in the opening issue, not by a cosmic force or a hero, but by Gamora, now calling herself Requiem. With Thanos out of the way, she seeks to gather the 6 Infinity Stones for herself. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, and others try to keep the stones safe by forming the Infinity Watch. But Gamora is always one step ahead. Once she acquires all 6 stones, she uses them not to destroy, but to reshape. And by that, I mean folding the universe in half. And this leads to one of the event's most unique twists, the Wrapped Universe. Using the stones, Gamora combines pairs of heroes into single beings. Spider-Man and Moon Knight become Arachnite, Iron Man and Thor become Iron Hammer, and so on. And this bizarre matchup reality creates entirely new personalities, backstories, and threats. And while fascinating, the wrapped world is unstable and soon begins to collapse. Even Gamora realizes that wielding absolute power doesn't guarantee peace, only more complications. And the situation spirals as Loki tries to manipulate the wrapped universe for his own ends, revealing that the Infinity Stones are part of a much larger cosmic structure. Eventually, with the help of Adam Warlock and the surviving heroes, Gamora gives up the stones and tries to make amends. But the damage is already done. The wrapped heroes now exist as their own reality, and the multiverse has been further fractured. The Infinity Stones scatter once more, but not before setting the stage for even deeper cosmic lore. So Infinity Wars isn't your typical big bad threatens the universe kind of story, and here Gamora isn't evil, she's broken and desperate, and that makes her all the more dangerous. And while the wrapped universe was short-lived, it offered a fresh, creative twist on familiar faces. War of the Realms. By the time the story opens, Malekith has conquered 9 of the 10 realms: Dark Elves, Frost Giants, Fire Demons, Undead Armies, Trolls. Every ancient enemy of Asgard is united under one banner. Earth or Midgard is the final prize. It's not just a raid, it's a full extinction plan, and the villain lineup alone feels like the end of mythology itself. Malekith doesn't just invade Earth, he surgically dismantles it. He sends dragons after Iron Man, takes Thor and Odin out of the picture, and then unleashes his armies across the planet at the same time. New York becomes a war zone in minutes. Loki appears to betray Malekith, only to be killed, and civilians are slaughtered while heroes scramble to evacuate survivors. The scariest part, the Avengers don't even realize the entire world is under attack. They think it's just another city crisis. The Avengers are beaten so badly, they are forced to retreat to Antarctica. New York is officially lost, Odin is wounded, the Valkyries are slaughtered, and Doctor Strange can barely hold reality together. And the heroes finally understand that this isn't a battle they can brute force. This is a planetary occupation. Instead of one big counterattack, the heroes splinter into desperate suicide missions. Freyja sends teams into enemy dimensions to assassinate giant kings, destroy war engines, and sabotage Malekith's Black Bifrost. Spider-Man ends up fighting Frost Giants, Captain Marvel leads space-level assaults, and the X-Men defend the last human strongholds in New York. Thor finally escapes captivity and comes back to Earth changed, calmer, heavier, and carrying the weight of every fallen realm. He challenges Malekith directly, while the Avengers push back into invading forces worldwide. The war spills into places like Australia, Asia, Latveria, and even heaven itself as Angela wipes out the Queen of Heaven. And the final battle takes place at Stonehenge. Thor uses an unthinkable strategy to finally defeat Malekith, sacrificing pieces of himself and everything he believes in. Entire dimensions are in ruins. Gods are dead. Heroes are broken. When the dust settles, the realms are technically saved, but nothing is the same. Knull Invasion. This event starts with Knull, the god of the symbiotes, waking up from his long nap and deciding it's time to take back the universe. Forget small-scale alien invasions. This dude brings an army of symbiote dragons with him and blots out the sun. Within the first issue, Earth is completely smothered in living darkness, and most of Marvel's heavy hitters are either possessed, down for the count, or running for their lives. Right away, you know this is a different kind of event because it doesn't waste time with the build-up. Knull lands on Earth, rips through Sentry like he's nothing, and stakes him for everyone to see. That's the kind of statement you make when you want to tell the heroes, yep, this is going to hurt. You've got symbiote-infected Celestials marching across the sky, dragons tearing up Manhattan, and even people like Captain America and Wolverine getting taken over by Knull's hive. Eddie Brock, Venom himself, is the heart of the story, which is what makes King in Black feel so satisfying. He's not just fighting to protect the planet, he's fighting for his son Dylan, who has unique powers that can hurt Knull. Eddie spends much of the event outmatched and nearly broken, both physically and emotionally, and it's that underdog journey that gives the event its emotional punch. The heroes aren't totally sidelined though. You get some amazing team-up moments, like Iron Man using a symbiote-controlled Celestial as a giant mech suit, Blade rallying the Vampire Nation to fight the symbiotes, and the X-Men teleporting in with a full squad to join the battle. Everyone is desperate, and everyone is throwing everything they've got at Knull. By the end, Eddie bonds with the Enigma Force, aka the God of Light, and becomes a living cosmic weapon. Armed with a massive energy sword, he takes the fight straight to Knull and actually wins, cutting the God of Symbiotes in half and ending his reign. It's one of the most cathartic and visually stunning Marvel finales in recent memory, with Eddie rising from anti-hero to full-on cosmic savior. King in Black is unapologetically huge. It's dark fantasy, horror, superhero spectacle, and a redemption story all rolled into one. The Venom War. After becoming the new King in Black, Eri Brook connected to every symbiote across time. When his physical body is destroyed, his mind wakes up inside the Garden of Time, a living, symbiote realm where alternate versions of Eri exist. These versions aren't just memories. They are trapped in a time loop controlled by a darker future self called Meridius. Eri learns he can jump into other versions of himself across history, and while doing that, he sees a horrifying possible future where his son Dylan becomes a godlike tyrant called Codex, who turns the world into symbiote flesh. Terrified, Eri decides to break the timeline to save Dylan, not knowing Dylan has already seen a future where Eri becomes worse than Noel himself. Eri crashes back into present-day New York in the middle of a packed wrestling arena, dragging other twisted versions of himself through a time portal. He locks the place down and makes a public broadcast to the city. This is now the battlefield for the future of humanity. Eri doesn't want revenge. He wants Venom and his son back, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Venom is hiding in Peter Parker's closet, believing everyone he bonds with ends up broken. Peter accidentally puts him on, and suddenly Spider-Man is back in black. And Dylan isn't alone either. He meets a future version of himself who warns him that one of them is going to destroy everything. They just don't know which one yet. When Dylan arrives at the arena, he finds Eri demanding Venom, while Spider-Man refuses to give him up. Eri snaps and bonds with one of his alternate selves, becoming the Rage Monster, Bedlam, while Dylan fuses with Sleeper and Flexo, crowning him the Prince in Black. It's no longer hero versus Venom. It's father versus son, future versus present, with Venom literally stuck in the middle. While the Brooks fight, Meridius reveals his real weapon, K-44, a compound that hijacks symbiotes and turns people into savage zombots. A red-haired stranger shows up immune to the virus and turns out to be a wrapped, demonic carnage, wielding the god-killing, all-blood necrospear. He doesn't care about winning, he just wants Eri's soul. As zombots flood the streets, Agent Anti-Venom Flash Thompson races to stop the apocalypse. When everything collapses, Venom splits himself, bonding to both Eri and Dylan at once. Together they push back Bedlam, but Meridius uses the necrospear to corrupt the hive mind. Future Dylan appears and makes the impossible choice. He shoots past Dylan with a reality-breaking bullet that fuses Venom into a glowing golden Venom, immune to the spear. Golden Venom turns the necrospear into a golden weapon and finally kills Meridius, breaking the time prison and ending the zombot plague. The war is over, but the cost is unbearable. The golden bullet was never meant to save Dylan. It was meant to erase him. Venom tears himself off Dylan to keep him alive, but his own body starts rotting from the inside. Eri crawls into the same church where he first bonded with Venom years ago, bleeding out. Carnage appears, dying too, offering Eri a final deal to save them both. Eri hesitates, just for a second, and that's where the story ends. The Cosmic Entity War, aka the Thunder War, it kicks off with Storm hanging out in space with Manifold and Maggot, joking like they are not about to poke the gods. But things go sideways fast when Storm, now empowered by Eternity itself, realizes she's no longer just a mutant who controls weather. She's a walking piece of the universe. Her presence alone starts drawing attention from ancient storm gods who don't like the idea of a human wielding power that rivals theirs. One of the first to challenge her is Sango, a thunder god who believes Storm is just an arrogant earthling playing dress up. That fight doesn't end with a knockout, it ends with Storm using Manifold to banish him into a sealed pocket dimension. That escape is literally impossible without a cosmic teleporter. This becomes her new signature move, not killing gods, but removing them from existence in clean, terrifying silence. While Storm is battling gods, the US government makes its own move. Special agents attack her team using dark voodoo tech, killing Maggot and slicing Manifold in half in seconds. And this attack is meant to prove a point. Even Omega level mutants aren't safe anymore. It's not just a cosmic war, it's Earth quietly declaring war on gods and mutants at the same time. Then reality itself tears open. Infinity, the embodiment of endless space, arrives furious and broken, demanding to know what happened to her twin, Eternity. She beats Galactus and the Silver Surfer half to death just to get answers. For the first time in Marvel history, a cosmic abstract isn't calm or detached. She's emotional, unstable, and desperate. And that's when everyone realizes something is very wrong with the balance of the universe. Then all the Thunder Gods gather to decide Storm's fate, and they choose the worst possible side. They align with Hadad, the first Storm God, a being so powerful, he once turned cosmic entities like Eternity and the Phoenix into toys. Hadad releases an army of Black Winters, multiversal devourers that wipe out entire pantheons in seconds, and the Storm Gods are erased. And with Eternity on the brink of annihilation, he goes to the only being left who can help, the one above all. The Creator admits that Hadad is his fault, a creation so flawed that even he fears it. He refuses to intervene directly, warning that unleashing his full wrath could end everything. Eternity is forced to accept that the universe might only be saved by something he never trusted enough. That's Storm. Storm confronts Haddad on Earth, and the fight is so unreal. He mocks her, reminding her that he once dominated the living tribunal and challenged the one above all. And she responds with pure skill: martial arts, cosmic pressure, black hole gravity, and lightning that hits with the force of the sun. For the first time in history, a human mutant is physically overpowering a being older than the universe. Storm doesn't want to kill Haddad. She wants to imprison him like the others. Eternity panics, afraid that Haddad could one day escape. So he takes control of Storm's body and kills Haddad himself. Storm rips Eternity out of her soul in rage, rejecting the universe's own consciousness. In that moment, she stops being the universe's servant and becomes its most dangerous wildcard. The story ends with Mistress Death summoning Brother Voodoo and declaring open war on the cosmic order itself for the murder of her brother Oblivion. In the shadows stand Null, the Marvel zombies, and things that should never exist together. So the cosmic entity war isn't over, it's just evolved into something much bigger.